Having a business idea is not all it takes to create an impactful and profitable venture. Hello there, welcome back to Sustainable Living with Shilpa Reddy, powered by Planet Green Farm Natura, a new beginning to your life. It is time entrepreneurs think innovatively to run beyond profitable businesses. We buy what is available, but what if the availability is curated in a certain way? Welcome to yet another episode of Dermiq Nature Tycoon, where we learn about how change can be implemented at the root level of starting a business. Unlearning is not quite easy. On today's show, we have a very innovative yet enterprising entrepreneur. She truly believes in the opportunities in creating solutions for a world with depleting natural resources. She aspires to discover and invent new techniques to make better use of waste. Let's welcome the founder of Cancelled Plans, Mallika Reddy. Hi Mallika. I remember, being introduced to you at the launch of Cancelled Plans, and on that day itself I was so intrigued by your business plan and what you're doing with, your brand. And thank you, because I was really keen that you come on our, show, and I could dig deep and find out all about Cancelled Plans and your journey.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really my pleasure to be here and be talking to you about this.
So, you have studied abroad, not just in one place, many other places, and you came back to India and Cancelled Plans happened. What inspired you to start Cancelled Plans, especially such a unique brand?
So yeah, I lived in a number of different cities across the world. I lived in LA, I went to college there, studied architecture. Post that, I was in Dubai for a couple of years, then I was in London for a couple of years, then I was in Bombay, and then back to Hyderabad. So yeah, it's been quite a journey. I think also it gave me a lot of exposure to see everything that's happening in the world.
Right.
In terms of what inspired me, I think sustainability has been something that's always been a part of my upbringing, in my family, in school. It's always something that I was inclined to do something towards, and design was something else that I definitely knew I wanted to do. So it was design and sustainability and how I might bring them together. So that's actually kind of the genesis of the idea of Cancelled Plans, I guess, to do something in design, something in sustainability.
Did you also study design?
I studied architecture, and then I was in branding for 3 years, and then I was a design researcher in an innovation studio. So all design related jobs mostly. Yeah.
So can you say that your upbringing and the education impacted the way you think or your thought process?
Absolutely. So even my schooling, I went to Vidyaranya, which is a school known for kind of like conscious living, where we were taught to be environmentally conscious, see our surroundings, compassionate to animals. Those kind of things were very important to us as like a schooling process. And then in my family as well, it's always been kind of like my mother's growing the vegetables we eat right now, and so that attitude of sustainability has always been there. My father also has introduced a lot of eco-friendly practices in his company, so I think it was more just like, this is just how we are, we don't aspire to be it just was ingrained in us since we were very young. So yeah.
Oh, that's very nice. You are using rejected materials which otherwise would have ended up in landfills, and you're making these wonderful, garments, and you're making accessories. How did you think of using the waste?
So actually, I spent about maybe 6-7 months just kind of researching what I wanted to do. I didn't kind of dive into it. I knew that the waste problem was something that I think even for us in India, it's very evident. It's in front of our faces. There's piles and piles of trash everywhere. So it's like something that you look at it and you're like, what can I do about this? So I spent a lot of time kind of studying about what happens to waste, what the supply chain is in terms of the rag pickers. I spoke to people, and then once my father said, why don't you just go to the scrapyard and see if there's something, we're generating all this waste, maybe you can do something with it, why don't you just have a look? So then I started visiting scrapyards, I started looking at different kinds of wastes, and then what I think the insight that I got was, once things have left a factory and they go into a scrapyard, they are of no use. So the intervention comes in the factory stage before it goes there, because then, you know, you might have like a lot of plastic bags or whatever, which are perfectly good to use. But the minute they go into a scrapyard, they get contaminated.
Right.
They can't be used. They have to be disposed of in a certain manner, which is for hazardous waste. It has to be incinerated. It has to be treated in a certain way.
Correct.
So I think for me, what clicked at that moment is that we collect the waste in the factory floor where it's clean, it's pristine, it's untouched,
Right.
and it's not contaminated, and it's as good as any new material that's a resource. It just so happens that it's generated at a factory. So I think of it as a raw material that's generated at a factory, not something that's left behind. And that's the
Okay.
nature of most of our materials. It's very unused. So it's like when you're cutting something, the edges, similar to like in the design process, the
Right.
edges get left behind as waste. It's never been used. It's a very high grade material.
Correct,
But
yes.
it's just disposed because it's a little extra, and industrial scales are so much that they produce tons and tons and tons of this. That's why the waste that's generated is also in tons, but it's essentially useful materials.
Right. So what was your role at Dr. Reddy Labs Studio 5B?
5B, yeah. So that was, it's an internal innovation studio, and it's based on the principle of design thinking. So
Okay.
design thinking encourages people to be more empathetic, put yourself in the shoes of your customer or your patient and think like how they would think about it. So for example, if I'm opening a bottle and it's very hard for me to open as a customer, that's not something that's friendly towards the customer. So it's like, how do we design the bottle cap better so that it doesn't strain? So that's kind of the school of thought that it comes from. So even though it's pharmaceutical, what we were doing was design work, and I was there for about a year and a half in Bombay. The studio is there. So it's more kind of like, how do we think of things differently and creatively and approach something which is very scientific, like medicine and regulation, heavily regulated, and think of it from the patient's eyes. So that's kind of the work that I was doing there in Dr. Reddy's, yeah.
Wow, that's nice. So what kinds of materials do you make your garments or any of your merchandise with? Like,
Yeah. Currently, we're working with 4 factories that we directly collect with.
Okay.
And then we are also partnering with another mill that's based in Tirupur. So the Tirupur mill, they get a lot of textiles which are shredded down. I think generally in fashion, they tend to burn things to maintain the exclusivity and things like that. So these are somewhat, I guess, rescued clothes where they don't get burnt, they get shredded down and then respun into cotton.
Okay.
So it's all recycled cotton. So we work with one mill who kind of does the end-to-end process with us. And the other 4 are all locally in Hyderabad, in and around the city. There's one which is Dr. Reddy, which is pharmaceutical. So all the offcuts of the blister packaging, labels, bottles, those kind of things, we collect those. There's a lot of foil wrapping. And if you've seen any of our products, which are the bright, shiny silver
Right.
ones, that's all kind of pharmaceutical packaging and blister packaging.
and they're quite durable also.
Yeah,
if
it's
I'm
very
not-
heavy duty because, and I think also the way that the material is, because of regulations, you have to coat it in plastic.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's not durable as a tablet. So it's very, very hardy. So if you've seen the tablet strips and you're like pushing it out, it's kind of like, it's not easy to do.
Right.
So, and it's very hard to separate these materials once they're combined. You have to reach a very high temperature to melt it down and all of that. So it's not worth even separating and recycling. So we have to find a way to creatively use it in the form that we get it without using a lot of resources like electricity and water and things like that. So
Okay.
that's one example of the material that we get from
Right.
Dr. Reddy's. Then we also collect from this billboard printing factory.
I think I have a bag that you sent
Yes,
me.
yeah, you have one. So that is, so that also similar, where we get a lot of black and white, because they print something and they cut off the edges and then there's nothing that you can do much with that. But it's very durable
Correct,
material.
you're right.
So
Even the flexis. right?
yeah, exactly.
the
It's
printed
the flex.
flexi.
Yeah, exactly that. So then we use that as a material as well. It's very, very durable. That's one of my favorite materials. And it's very versatile because it kind of works like a fabric, but it's just made from this different material.
Okay.
And then we work with a condom factory as well. In every batch of condoms that gets made, about 5 to 8% will have a hole in it. So you obviously don't want condoms with holes going into the market.
Of course not.
And like in any industry, there's counterfeiting and stuff, so anybody
Right.
can put it back into a package and sell it. So you definitely, that's something that nobody wants. So then those condoms are shredded down.
Okay.
So we collect that, we do kind of embroidery with it and
I've
things
seen an
like that.
interesting jacket, with
Yeah.
the rejected condoms, and I thought it was fabulous.
Thank
I
you.
didn't understand, nor I knew until you mentioned it
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
launch.
I think for us it was also important that waste shouldn't look like trash.
Correct.
It should still be a thing of beauty. It should be still something that you would wear whether it was made from trash or whether it was made from like virgin materials. So that was something as a design philosophy I always kept in mind, that it should be desirable regardless of what it's made out of.
Yeah, that's true.
So-
That's very true. I also seen in your, portfolio that you also make fabric, get it done, especially for cancel plans. How did this idea come about, and what is the material that you use to make fabric?
So we get the offcuts of these in blister packs. They come to us as very long strips, and it's like one big mess of like tangled up strips of aluminium. And we worked with the Weaver Service Center in Nampally, which is a part of the textile ministry.
Okay.
And they helped us to develop a weave with this material.
Wow,
So they have
fabulous.
also figured out a few different variations of ways to weave it. It's all handloom. So I like that idea as well, because when you think of handloom in your head, there's a certain image of it. But our very shiny, bright, alien looking fabric is also handloom. So then we work with a farmer, we work with a weaver in Warangal who then weaves this blister along with organic cotton, and then it becomes kind of a textile.
What do you use it for? Mostly garments or
We
bags?
usually make bags out of that because
and they're quite durable.
Yeah, they're very durable and they're quite stiff, so they don't have the same fluidity as material, but they're very durable and last definitely very long. They can take a beating.
So as of now, what are the products you have developed with, all the waste?
Right now, we are mostly making bags and accessories and clothes. That's
Okay.
pretty much it. But
Are you
we
planning to branch out into other
Yeah.
merchandise?
Yeah, everything. I think, what I've learned is that absolutely we can use this waste to make so many things. So I don't want to stop here. I want to go into every industry and try to make something there.
Name a few.
So-
I'm so intrigued. Like, I know bags and clothes. Then what else?
So we are working on a few collaborations as well.
Okay.
And where I'm doing something with a decor brand. So there's going to be like upholstery made from waste. There's going to be mats, carpets, coasters, everything, the works. When we want to make shoes, we want to make. There's just anything can be made from waste, and I want to do it all. So
Wow.
we'll find a way. We'll find a way to make sure there's more and more products.
More and more products
Yeah,
from cancel plans.
absolutely.
Why the name cancel plans?
There's a few different stories to it, I think. My favorite one is that like my own personality is like, this was pre-COVID where, people made plans and then you just got excited about cancelling them and staying home and watching TV. So that used to be my personality. Now I'm ready to go out and do things, but I can't. But it was, I think, more from that cultural thing of staying home and doing just kind of cancelling plans and letting it go, kind of letting it just be in your state of calm. But other than that, like, it's also about we're cancelling the plan of these waste materials to go into the landfill. We're giving them a second life.
Wow.
We're saying that we're cancelling this plan to make a new plan. And this is, I think, broader than the waste as such. Is the kind of world needs to change something for us to, survive in
Absolutely.
the next few decades or whatever. Is that we have to change things up. So it kind of comes from that idea of like creating that change and not being negative about it, saying that we have to cancel some plans to make room for better plans.
Wow, this is fascinating, the way you put this name and, brought it all together.
And there's also this John Lennon quote which inspired me, which is, life is what happens when you're busy making plans. So that's
Wow.
kind of the story of how the name came about.
All perspectives are so beautiful and fits your name so well.
Thank you.
In your line of work, the design team has to be extremely strong and constantly innovating. How did you build this team?
We actually don't have a design team as such. I am the
Oh.
design team. But having said that, actually, we have one embroider and two tailors, and they are the design team pretty much, and me, which is
Oh.
they love a good challenge. So that's kind of, I think, the core of the team is that you have to do something creative. You have to push yourself and challenge yourself to do something that's not been done before, because that's the nature of our work.
Correct.
So in the beginning, people are a bit hesitant. They're kind of like, I don't know if this will work or not. But when you tell them that anything is possible, they want to do something that's never been done before. So I think that excitement kind of drives us. So the mandate is you have to do something that you've not done before, challenge yourself and try something. And the brand is based on experiments and experimentation. So it's about like you can do anything if you really want to. So they have the freedom to do that as well. So oftentimes they'll come to me with ideas and say, should we try this? How is this looking? And
Oh, nice.
that's just kind of how it works.
But did you have to motivate them, because they're not used to doing this kind of work, and it's very difficult. Me being a designer
Yeah.
myself, anything out of the normal, anything unconventional takes them time to come around, and you need to constantly let them know the philosophy of your brand and drive them. So did you have to constantly encourage them, drive them, or motivate them?
Absolutely. I mean, it ranges from like begging and pleading and saying like, please, 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 to being very adamant, saying, I want it, I know you can do it. So I think, yeah, there's a lot of that. I think it's like, just try it. If we fail, we fail, I think. And that, I think, takes the pressure off of them a little bit. So they don't feel like, oh, it has to be pristine and pretty and this. I said, you just do it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We'll do something else.
Okay, so you give them a lot of liberty that way.
Yeah. I think that's the only way. Otherwise, they will lose interest.
Absolutely.
And I think also a lot of people that we worked with, like these embroiders and stuff, they've worked with other designers where I think they have a certain pattern, they have a motif that they have to recreate, and then over here they don't have anything, so they have a blank canvas to do whatever they want. But some people like that, some people don't like that.
That's right. That's what I was saying. You need to build a certain brand.
I think I got lucky because my guys get very excited to do that. So
that's wonderful.
yeah.
So you want to eliminate the word waste, and you are following circular economy. Can you talk more about this process of thought?
I think it all starts from the idea that there is so much waste in the world already that it's just piling up, it's getting burned, we're probably going to send it to Mars soon, I don't know what's going to happen. But there's so much there that's already in the world. So why don't we find a creative way to use it? And I think also for me, thinking of it from a business point of view, it's very hard to do something new. It's very hard to think of something that someone else hasn't already thought of.
True.
So for me, that was important, that if I'm not going to think of something new as such as a concept, then I want to see what's around me and make something else out of it. So I think that's kind of where the idea came from.
Okay.
I don't know if that answers the question.
What are your recurring operational problems in your business?
I think one of the things is that since we're quite small and we're a team of very few people, most of our products are handmade. So scaling up sometimes gets a little difficult. It's also like the unpredictability of our materials. Sometimes, like another factory that I did mention earlier, we work with sock factory. So one time they'll get an order to make 10 lakh socks of red color. Next month they'll get green color. So it's not predictable.
Okay.
So it's kind of, this is the waste we got this month. Maybe we can use it to make some product that we made in the past. Maybe we have to make a whole new product. So sometimes it's just like that uncertainty is there quite a bit.
But that is exciting, I think.
That's definitely exciting.
Yeah,
it's
looks
exciting.
like you're really enjoying that uncertainty.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy it. But if like a customer comes to me and says, I want that, then I'm like, I don't know if I can give it to you. So there's a little bit of that. But I mean, luckily, most of them are up for also trying something new. So
I think that's the tone you set anyways.
Yeah, I think also we celebrate imperfections in our materials. We celebrate it in our waste, all of that. So as a brand also, like our logo is a glitched brand because because we don't think that things should be perfect. We think things that are imperfect are also like great and beautiful, and that's part of the brand itself. So I think, yeah, I mean, that's probably we change that challenge into our brand motto or something like that.
You're giving new life to waste materials and taking them to people's wardrobes. How do you feel about it?
Absolutely, it's very, very, very gratifying. I think also I'm quite proud to say that our clothes are pretty comfortable too, considering where they come from, and people want to wear them, which is very, very nice. I think also it was for me when we decided what products to make. I mean, I do want to make every product, but when we started making the clothes and accessories, that was something that was on my mind. Will people wear these things? People are conscious about what goes on their skin, and we've been able to kind of crack that and create a product that people want to wear, and that's very, very, very gratifying, very exciting.
What is the most exciting part of being an entrepreneur?
I think I don't listen to anyone. That's very exciting. I think it has its own pressures, but I think being my own boss is very good. I like it.
So, what kind of work ethics you created at your brand?
So I think one thing is that is an absolute mandate is that we can't be generating waste. So whatever offcuts we create go back into our system. So that's something that like people like are conscious also when they're working with it, that they're not just simply doing something that generates waste. They are seeing the purpose of what they're doing, and they're seeing how they can bring back the waste into the system. So I think that's definitely one. I think one more is the idea of anybody can be creative, anybody can have an idea, and they're most welcome to share their ideas. I think that's the only way that like brands can grow, is if everyone has a voice. So for us, everyone has a voice and they are welcome to share it, and then oftentimes they are the ones that we carry forward. It might have come from the admin person, it might have come from me, it might have come from the tailor. It's like, so
wow, I love the culture at your work.
so I think that's something that's important, because it's, if one person is telling people what to do, that's not really sustainable in the long run for the company. So that's definitely one thing. I think one more thing is everyone has to be nice to each other. That's very important to me. Nobody is allowed to be an asshole at the workplace. So everyone has to be nice to each other. There's a way you have to be polite in the things that you ask for. Nobody is going to be bossing over anyone. I think that's also something that's part of our work culture. Sometimes people need to be told a little sternly, but for the most part, it's important that everyone is nice to each other.
That's nice. So with your experience at Cancel Plans, what advice or what suggestion would you give a startup entrepreneur who is actually wanting to start business in eco-friendly or nature-friendly business module?
So I think generally, as a blanket statement to all entrepreneurs, I just say is that like really think about it if you want to kind of take this path, because it's not an easy one. And especially now when there's opportunities for a lot of people to be entrepreneurs with low investment. I mean, it's a great thing. A lot of companies are coming up, but it's quite hard. So you have to be mentally very, very, very strong. And you have to you have to be, and especially when it comes to, I think, sustainable and eco-friendly, those kind of things, patience is very, very, very important. People will not welcome you like this.
Totally. Yeah.
It's going to be expensive for you to create things that people are not always willing to pay for. So I think you have to also see your KPIs will be different. It won't be just profit. You have to see the impact that you're making on people's lives. You have to see how much you are reducing people's carbon footprint. So it's not always easy to see these things when you're not making money. And money will come last. So I think you have to mentally be prepared for impact comes first and money comes last. So if you go in with that mindset, then I think you're at least more
true to your vision, I guess.
Yeah. And I mean, any business has to make profit, otherwise it doesn't make sense. But obviously your success shouldn't be just based monetary, and you should be prepared for that, because it is disheartening when somebody is making a lot more money than you and you're
for a lot less effort.
For a lot less effort. So it is disheartening to see that. So you have to be really like believe in your purpose and go with that conviction that maybe you might not see profit early on, but play the long game because your impact is beyond money.
No, absolutely. I totally agree to what you just said. And I think it is also fulfilling
Yeah.
at the same time, not
Yeah, you
just
definitely
driven.
sleep better at night. That's there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Mallika, how technically evolved is your team?
We're actually quite rustic. We're not that technically evolved as such. I think because our processes are based on experiments, so it's more kind of like do anything and figure out what's working. So it's very jugaad mentality, I think. But once we kind of figure out what's working, we're constantly working on the process to make sure that we are optimizing it to be most efficient. It's saving money, saving time, all of that. We're constantly working on it. So initially it's a bit haphazard. Then when it clicks, it kind of keeps going. So yeah.
And I've heard you had a big launch in London at the London Design Festival. Can you elaborate how it was?
It was amazing actually. It was about a year ago we launched at the London Design Festival, and London is really quite a melting pot of culture. There's
Right.
designers from all over the world who kind of exhibit here. I have lived in London. It had been a dream of mine to one day be presenting something at the London Design Festival, and that couldn't have been a better way to start our brand. So we had a 1 week pop-up that was there throughout the festival.
What kind of response did you get?
It was really great. Honestly, there was a lot of people who walked in who had no idea, and it was we hadn't done a lot of like PR marketing or anything. We just kind of said, "Now we're open. Come and see us and say hi," kind of a thing. And there was a lot of people that walked in who had no idea from it, no idea about it from before. And then I think there was someone from a university who had walked in and said, "This is a great idea. Can you come and do a lecture and talk to our students about this?"
Oh, wow.
And that was something that was really something that was unexpected. And I was like, "Wow, this is really exciting." At the launch of this idea that we didn't know what would happen, for someone to come and say something like that, it felt really, really good.
I think you're too humble. So I heard that you're not very comfortable talking about your accomplishments, but we heard that you were the finalist at the Circular Design Challenge. Please talk a little more about it.
This year, actually in February, it was February 13th, was Sustainable Day at the Lakme Fashion Week. And every year they have the Circular Design Challenge, which is hosted by R. Elan from Reliance
Okay.
and the UN. So they select about 5 finalists from across India.
Out of how many?
I want to say maybe a few hundreds, if not thousands. I'm not sure, but yeah, I mean it's quite a wide pool. Actually, we're very, very lucky and fortunate that in our first year we got selected.
Okay.
And we were in the cohort of actually some really amazing entrepreneurs as well. There were 4 other designers who were doing really cool stuff
From India?
Yeah, all Indian,
Okay.
all Indian.
And now what's the next step? Once you're selected as a finalist, what happens next?
So it was kind of like a competition. We each pitched our idea, and there was a panel of judges as well.
Okay.
And we had our first fashion show there. So that was kind of our introduction into this world, I guess. So that had happened, and a winner was selected.
Okay.
And their name is Malai Biomaterials. They make kind of an imitation leather from coconut water.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of like really cool, innovative
Yeah.
stuff that a lot of people are doing. So that gave us a lot of
Absolutely.
exposure to that world
Right.
as well. So that was awesome. Yeah.
So how do you describe your client? Like, what is your client like?
I think my client is probably someone who has an interest in design in a broader scale. It's not just kind of about ornamental in what they're purchasing. Someone who wants to buy things that last long. Someone who wants to get durable products that don't need to be constantly changed in their wardrobe. Things that match with multiple things maybe.
Okay.
And I think our clients are quite fun. We also like to be a little edgy, and we try to do things like we're not traditional. We're quite contemporary in that sense. We're quite modern.
Right.
So I think we have a wide range of characteristics in our clients.
Before starting, did you analyze the market and went looking for your target clientele?
Honestly, when we started, I was not sure if this thing is even going to be real, if it's just an idea, if it's even going to be a real product. So when we started, I wanted to have a little something for everyone. I wanted something that I would buy for myself. I wanted my mom to pick up something. I wanted my cousin living somewhere else to pick up something, or like I just wanted a little bit for everyone, because that's how we probably get our feedback in as well. So working with the customer became also part of our process from the beginning. So we'll design with our customers, we'll create something that will work with multiple things. We're not dependent on season, saying that you should wear this for this season, you should wear that. Something that is bit more timeless,
Right.
and something that you can, like, I mean, a lot of our stuff is also unisex, so we want to kind of be as inclusive as possible with our customers as well. So I think it's very hard to kind of categorize our customers, because we want it to be as inclusive as possible.
Oh, that's a wonderful way to put it. So, for the businesses, the existing businesses, do you think every business can bring in some kind of innovative, methods that they can incorporate to, steer towards sustainability?
Absolutely. I think I think if there is a mandate from someone, from this usually always does the trick, where someone from the top says, you have to incorporate something sustainable, then people will find a way to do it for sure. Because I mean, I think, like, look at COVID as an example. We didn't think we would function as a world how we are. But
Right.
people are putting on their masks, they're getting the work done, people are working from home. So I think if there is some, or even the government, if the government gives some kind of mandate saying that you have to, like CSR, how it came about, and there's that mandate to do it, then people will definitely do it.
Right.
Yeah, I think there's so many creative ways to make small changes that make like a ripple effect and an impact,
Right.
which is of a much larger scale. It's just
Right.
the intention needs to be there.
So, any 2 to 3 things that you would see that everyone can change in any kind of business?
I think the one that's probably talked about the most and makes a big impact is the plastic bottles, that are the single-use plastics that
Correct.
are kind of we drink from the bottle and thrown. Those, I would say, we should cut down on using them for sure. And also there is this misconception that all of these bottles are recycled, so it's not a big deal. They are recycled, but each time a new bottle is created, a new bottle is still created. They get recycled and made into a different product. So even if there's from, I think in Europe it's there already, where even these bottles that are being made, like the mineral water bottles, they can be also made from recycled plastic.
Okay.
So I think those kind of things where you can kind of change regulations a little bit and work with that and avoid single-use plastics, I think is a big, it's like
Every industry can do it.
Every industry can do it, and you see the implications almost immediately how your footprint reduces.
So, did you come across any other brands that you're extremely impressed by the way they're conducting their business, again, in this sector of sustainability?
Yeah, there's a lot. I think internationally there's definitely very big brands that are doing it. I think in India they're still kind of struggling a little bit, but very impressive with what they're doing. I think even like I was saying, in the CDC competition that we did, there was someone who was making leather, imitation leather from coconut water and coconut fibers that comes from the earth and goes back into the earth. I think that's very cool.
I also heard they make leather out of pineapple peel.
Yeah, that's, I think there's a Mexican company. I
Yeah,
think
so there's
it's called
so much
Piñatex.
innovation happening around
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a lot of brands that are doing, I think, very, very cool things.
So, do you have plans to collaborate with other fashion brands or any other brand who has the same philosophy as yours?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's, I am currently in the middle of 3 collaborations,
Oh,
which
wow.
I'm hoping we get to launch really soon.
Okay.
And for me also, that's the way for us to kind of, if we want to put our foot in everything, then the only way to do is through collaborations. Also, I think when 2 brands come together and create something, it's very, very meaningful. And I think our brand kind of lends itself that we don't have a strong aesthetic that this is how we want to be.
Right.
So we are quite fluid to be anything.
You're right
and
about
create that kind of support for the designers that we collaborate with. And I myself, like, I'm super energized with working with other designers and other creative people. So that's something that I think is absolutely essential to our brand. And well, maybe we'll see some of these collaborations in real life soon.
So you don't want to talk about them as yet?
Actually, maybe I can, because maybe they'll come out before December.
Please go ahead. We would love to know.
So I'm actually working right now with this bridal designer called Aisha Rao, who actually, I think maybe not many people know, but she studied environmental law. She's very sustainable in her practices. She uses applique as a technique where
I know. I've seen her lehengas,
yeah.
the colorful
yeah,
patchwork
yeah,
lehengas.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So I think there was an immediate synergy between both of us, and she's in some. I'm doing streetwear, and she's doing bridal, and I think that's something that's will be quite exciting when both of us come together. So yeah, that's one of them. Then I'm working with interiors based company studio in Delhi. And we were actually going to launch our collection at LA Design Week in June, but
Wow.
that didn't happen. But that's another thing that we're super excited about. So we're doing some upholstery, we're doing some
Right.
homeware. That's going to be exciting as well. And
So lots happening for cancel
yeah,
plans.
yeah.
What is the outlook that your clothing creates on a third person?
Oh, I'm not sure. You have to tell me.
Cool, edgy,
Yeah.
very innovative, and completely unconventional and out of the box. I'm answering your question.
That's great. That's great. I'm very, very pleased to hear that.
Okay. So Mallika, when I saw Cancel Plan's logo the very first time, I felt it was distinctively different. And a lot of thought process might have gone into it, and it kind of gives you an idea as to what kind of a brand it is. So did you do it in-house, or how did this happen?
So, like I mentioned before, I have worked in branding for about 3 years. So, for me, the way that I think about things also is through the lens of branding. And that was something that's a very important part of the business. I wanted to do it myself. So, I actually worked with a close friend of mine. Her name is Fleur Isbell. She's from London, and we've worked together in the past, and we work really well together. And both of us kind of came up with this together. And we actually recently won an award for it, which is very, very exciting. It's called
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. So we got an award from DNAD, which is a global organization for design.
What is DNAD? I'm sorry, I'm ignorant.
Design and art direction.
Okay.
So it's one of UK's most prominent awards within branding, advertising, graphic design, and things like that. So
Wow, it's like a Pandora box. There's so much coming out of our conversation, which I didn't know about at all.
yeah. It was quite exciting actually, and we won it for the best new branding scheme. So that was exciting.
Fabulous. You have so much behind you already. I'm so proud that we have someone like you in Hyderabad.
Thank you so much.
You traveled across the world, and a brand like yours, does it get accepted easily in the Western culture or in India?
I think it definitely gets accepted much easier in the Western world. I think people like things that are a bit more gritty, which are not very pretty, for the lack of a better word. People are liking that style more, and like there's a lot more evolution of like street style in Europe and the US and things like that. So we definitely get more traction there. But I do see it also changing in India. I think people are adopting it more.
Okay.
But I think it'll still take some time for us to kind of make our space here.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you sending your merchandise out of country?
Yeah, right now we are stocked in a store in New York.
Okay.
And in Amsterdam as well. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's interesting. So can we say your brand is society-oriented brand, and I'm sure the production cost is very high, because I've seen how meticulously you put these things together, especially your bags. I know how much went into making a bag of that sort. How did you plan your revenues? I'm sure the profits are not going to be seen immediately. So how did you plan for your business to be sustainable?
So I think that's something that maybe because I'm not so business minded, it didn't come to me as soon as it should have. But for me, it was important to make something that like people are proud to own. So it's important that our craftsmanship is to the T, it's impeccable, and it is important that the product is durable. And so I think my personal focus was a lot on the product development side of things.
Okay.
And things might not pick up immediately, but people will definitely see that this is a bag that will last them years. So I think we're trying to play that long game and then seek, and we also get revenue from kind of other streams as well. So our textile is one of our streams of revenue.
Okay.
And our collaborations obviously are different. So I don't think it's a straight path where we're
Right.
making products and selling them. We're also kind of working with people to use their materials and see if they can get it back into their system.
Right.
So there's, I think, multiple streams of revenue that we've kind of identified. And I mean, right now we're still quite young, so we're testing out our ideas and getting it feedback and then iterating and then getting feedback again. So I think it just kind of, it's going to take its own evolution. It's not very planned,
Right.
but I'm hopeful.
So do you also take designers' waste?
Yes.
Fashion designers' waste?
Yes. We take all kinds of waste. If there's anybody who has any kind of waste, I'm more than happy to take it, and we'll see if we can do something fun and creative with it. In fact, actually, what I'm wearing today, this is waste from Jayanti Reddy. So she's also someone
yeah, of
that
course, the designer.
I collaborate with, and she's also kind of like, she's also having a lot of sustainable practices in her workspace.
Right.
So yeah, I'm very happy to collaborate with designers, whether it's taking their waste or creating products together. I'm very, very open to it and happy to do it.
So COVID triggered people, people's emotions, and also it kind of propelled them to start thinking about the practices, they have in their lives. And it also changed them completely, whether it's the way they look at health or the kind of impact they are having on the planet. So in your immediate circle of friends, family, colleagues, did you see any of those changes, and what are they?
Definitely. I think I've heard a lot of people say that I haven't shopped in a really long time, and then I realized I don't need to. So I think I've heard this from at least 6 different friends.
Okay.
I think so people, like, especially consumption, I think is changing quite a bit. I think people realize what they actually need and what they actually want, and they're able to kind of make those kind of changes.
Right.
That's definitely one. I think people are spending a lot more time at home. So I know a lot of people who have at least 3 people who have taken up gardening, who are trying to grow something that they can then eat.
Right.
So I think people are spending that time to kind of see what is the maximum they can do with what little they have, because we are bound at home, not access to a lot of things. So I think, yeah, there's definitely a lot of
You see a lot
good
of
changes.
Yeah, good change.
Yeah.
We had a lovely conversation and such an insightful one, and something that we all should celebrate as Hyderabadis. Before we wrap this up, I would like you to take a small resolution, either for yourself or for your company, towards the sustainable lifestyle. It could be something even as small as maybe stop using plastic bottles, at workspace, or anything. I mean, I'm just giving you an example, but any small thing that you wanna, say before you leave the space.
Thank you so much for having me. First of all, it's been really, really nice to talk to you, and I think you're doing such important work is to get so many voices out there. Thank you. And in terms of a resolution, I think I've been wanting to do this for a while, and I have been making an effort to do it, which is I want to stop shopping from fast fashion brands. I think unknowingly have a lot of things in my closet which have gotten there when I was not paying attention to what I was buying. So I think I want to pay more attention to the purchases I make, and that would probably be my resolution too.
Wonderful. I'm sure, this conversation will be super inspiring to a lot of young entrepreneurs or otherwise also. So thank you once again.
Thank you.
So we have a small token of gratitude for you, Mallika. This is a hamper, extremely healthy and nourishing from Nourish You.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all for watching this video. Do subscribe to my channel. Stay tuned for more updates. I will see you next week. Signing off, Shilpa Reddy.